Run, QueenSnopea. I know I won't know what's going on, but I know you rock, and I'm cheering you on. And with that, we'll hand it over to QueenSnopea to show us Sheepo.
All right, so this is Sheepo, and I'm QueenSnopea. I'll be doing this run, and I have Glint helping me out on commentary. And
hello.
We're just gonna get right into it. I'm really excited to show you this game. So time begins on difficulty selection. I'll count you down, and we'll go. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so this is Sheepo. Sheepo is this character here, and it's his first day on the job at an intergalactic species database. The goal of the game is to catalog, well, the goal of Sheepo's job is to catalog all of the species in the universe, more or less. So we are saving the animals. On this planet, there are 6 different unique species, and we're going to be collecting 1 egg from each of them, hence the category name, 6 real eggs. So the game is a Metroidvania, and you probably know what that means, but in this game, it's a very relaxed one. That the nerves are getting to me a little bit. It's a real relaxed one that basically doesn't involve any fighting and just involves a lot of exploring and unlocking new abilities. The thing that we all love about it the most, though, is just how smooth the movement is. The developer, which is just one person that made this whole game, all of the art, all of the everything really in it, except for the music, which was his brother, really spent a lot of time making the movement feel just really smooth. And you'll notice I'm using these launchers here. These make up a lot of the run. You basically have the ability to, I'll do that again just so you can see what it looks like. You get to conserve momentum for forever, pretty much. As long as you don't run into something or stop holding the direction that you're moving in, then you really speed through the room, and you'll see a lot of that later.
Yeah, there's a lot of launchers and stuff like that throughout the run. They're basically the general mechanisms of the game. So the white launchers that you've seen and the blue ones that you see here. There's a couple other really general mechanics as well. So the key orbs that Snopea is collecting right now, which unlock doors like the one here. And just other general stuff like that too. There are feathers and stuff, which are the currency of the game, but we don't end up collecting a lot of those, considering they're not necessary for this category. The other thing that you've probably seen Snopea do a lot of so far is a technique that we discovered relatively early on, which we call half-hopping, which exploits the game's implementation of coyote time, which basically allows you to input a second grounded jump or a second wall jump right after you leave the ground, which allows you to climb walls, which you're definitely not supposed to do, and just generally platform a lot better and cleaner in most areas.
All right, so we just picked up our first egg, 1 of 6, and it unlocks our first ability. You may have noticed these birds floating around before already. We'll be using those on the way back through that area, and those let us fly. So that's basically the core of how this game's gameplay loop works, I guess. We get new abilities that let us transform into these different animals that are around the world. They have these timers, so you can't keep them forever, but you do get to use their movement sets for a little bit. This is the first area that we've kind of unlocked by getting that egg, and it's going to use the birds a lot in it. And you're going to see the first instances of really, I kind of messed it up there, unfortunately, but heavy damage boosting, because this game just doesn't really care when you take damage. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, no, the game is very lenient when it comes to damage boosting. There's basically no negative to it besides losing health. It's one of the reasons that you might have seen Snopea pick easy as our difficulty early on in the run. There's just more checkpoints and more health drops throughout the run, which obviously give us more health and give us more opportunity to damage boost. Basically, when you take damage, you receive no knockback, and you receive a ludicrous amount of invincibility. It's not even fair to talk about it in frames because it's literal seconds worth of invincibility, and we use that to to its best potential to save the most amount of time throughout the run.
Yeah, it's it's a really integral part of the run for sure, and you're going to see a lot of it later in the harder areas, I think. Yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning that it's really nice that this game doesn't have a lot of really RNG dependent things. There are small things, like you notice how the birds sort of float back and forth on this sort of wave cycle, or those fountains there will be like higher or lower depending on what time you enter the room. But overall, it's a really forgiving game, and definitely one that made me pick up speedrunning in the first place. Alright, so we're...
You know, Sheepo is a fantastic introductory game for speedrunning.
Super, super fun and not punishing. This is the first boss. Well, no, we already went past the first boss, but we kind of skipped it with the half hops up the wall. This one we're actually going to be fighting since we can't skip it. And when I say fight, I mean just kind of jump around, because Sheepo doesn't fight people. He's a good boy. And that kind of makes this a good time for donations, if we have any.
Gladly, we have some very special donations, including this one from someone who I saw in the chat mentioning that they were actually the reason why half hops are called half hops. It's $10 from Half Coordinated, who says, being a part of the Sheepo community has been a wonderful reminder of how great folks in speedrunning can be as people. And working with Kyle on accessibility consultation for Sheepo was great. He really cares and put in such admirable work towards making the game accessible. As did Dan on Right Up Next, which I also consulted for. Good luck, Snopea. May all your half hops be the exact height you want them to be. Sheepo!
Yeah.
We also have $10 from Papa Yan, who says, Dear Sheep, go fast. And $100 from Rue and Trojan, who say, do well and live on. Sheepo! Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, everybody. Thank you so much. It's these fights, we just kind of wait through them, so it's a perfect time to listen to everybody being positive, and I don't know. It's such a nice community. All right, so we've got our second egg, and that gives us the ability to use these guys. They're called spine worms, and they let you sort of swim through these special spots in the ground, and sometimes they don't behave the way you want them to. We're going to use them a lot later, so I'll explain them more then, but we're coming up to the first really major skip. Like, we skipped past Mama Bird's trigger, so we didn't have to watch a cutscene, but we still had to go through the room. We're going to use half hops to climb up this wall and approach this boss room from below. Usually you would have to go through just an entire other area of the game to get here, but approaching it from below puts us in the room where the egg is instead. So we get to collect the egg and then go on our way. Oh, and it might be a good point to mention the accessibility features that Half Coordinated was talking about in his donation message. We have a lot of features that are really nice, and one that was nice there was the photosensitive mode. If you don't like bright flashing lights, and if you like being able to see Sheepo when the screen transitions like that, it is top notch. Maybe you can talk about the next section.
Yeah, no, there's a ton of accessibility options we'll talk about in just a little bit, because we're about to approach one of my favorite sections of this run. This is probably the most heavy momentum conservation area of the run. You basically take launchers and you go fast, and you don't really stop going fast. And it's just really cool and satisfying to watch, in my humble opinion. And it's like Half Coordinate said in their donation. Kyle has been an absolute blessing to the speedrunning community for this game. Anytime that we've pestered him to add any sort of feature to the game, either be it for accessibility or just ease of use for speedrunning, he's been more than obliged to just add it and basically make it a lot easier to speedrun and a lot more accessible to speedrun. So, stuff like text skip, which was added early on, in-game timer, which you might be able to see in the top right, and the thing that Snopea is using right now, which is autofly, which prevents a lot of like unnecessary mashing throughout the run, which is really nice. Coming up is actually probably the second biggest sequence break that you're going to see throughout the run. As you can see, we're climbing a wall that we definitely shouldn't be, and doing a very classic speed game technique of entering a screen that has a fast travel point, which we will then travel to much later in the run, right near the end actually. So
Yeah, that was actually a really recent discovery too. One of the best things for me about this game has been just how new it is. As an introduction to speedrunning, it's been great because it's been evolving ever since I've started running it. Alright, so this area here is the underbelly, and we unlocked access to it, you might have noticed, by having the spine worm ability. And so you're going to see a lot of those here. I mentioned they can swim through the ground earlier. Their sort of features, I guess I would say, are that they always move forward when they're in the ground, so they're kind of hard to control. And if you spend too much time in the ground with the timers that I mentioned earlier, then you start taking damage as Sheepo. So yeah, the other thing you have to watch out for is, see if I can get it here, not quite. If you touch the ground, you de-transform, but in areas like this, we want to take these little arcs as shallow as possible, because otherwise the worm spends like a year floating in the air, and it's kind of frustrating.
lots of unnecessary time loss.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can see that there's like a lot of damage boosting and stuff that still happens even in this area. There's like a lot of stuff where just cutting through these pinwheels, especially in this upcoming room here, there's actually recently a cycle found, which if done properly, Snopea unfortunately bonked on her way through here. So she didn't get the cycle properly, but if you have impeccable movement through the beginning of that room, since these pinwheels are on a consistent cycle, you can cut it and just make the faster cycle, save a little bit of a time. There's actually another couple quirks about the worms which are pretty interesting as well. The worms themselves actually don't really care about terrain being in the way, so you're actually going to see here, Snopea is going to be able to cut through the wall here to save just a little bit of time. And because walls don't matter, and they're just a figment of your imagination, so don't worry about it.
Absolutely.
Now, here comes everyone's least favorite room of the game. It's not necessarily the hardest room in the game, but oh, what a save! Very nice. It's the room in the game that if you make a single mistake will probably lose you the most amount of time. It's not terribly difficult to execute, even though Snopea did a wonderful job there, but it will definitely lose you quite a bit of time. And it's followed by the best room in the game, because we meet our favorite bird friend, Archaeologist Bird, which is, he's just scooting around on his gamer chair, telling us about all his cool bones that he's been collecting in his boneyard. But we don't really have time for that. We have better things to do.
Yeah.
We got eggs to collect and species to protect.
The text skipping really comes in handy there, because before that, I joined the community after that was added. Before that, you would have had to mash through several different dialogue boxes, and it's not fun to do that, really, so it's not there anymore. Somehow I missed it, but you may have noticed sometimes the birds move a lot faster than other times. Basically, if you're at sprint speed as Sheepo, it takes about maybe 2 seconds or so to work his way up to that. Then you can actually stay at that speed as the bird as well, when the birds don't accelerate themselves. There's a lot of technical stuff to talk about with this game, and we wish that we could get into all of it, but we're gonna have to gloss over some things a little bit just because the length of the run is so short. And this is Froggo King. It's a big, unhappy potato. He's eaten too many Froggos and has an upset stomach, and we're gonna do another boss fight where we kind of run back and forth until the fight is over. So I'm gonna moonwalk back and forth and try not to die, and maybe we can read some more donations if we have any.
We certainly can, while we're waiting for Mr. Froggo King's stomach to settle down.
Oh, yeah.
We've got $50 from Larry the Latipus, who says, much love from Larry and Dingo. So proud of you and glad Sheepo is getting some GDQ love. Stay awesome. We've got $25 from a Nanny Moose, who says, those fluffy white things don't look like sheep to me, but what do I know? I'm just a Nanny Moose. We've got $15 from Peter and Kat, who say, so excited to see you running today, QueenSnopea. Good luck on the run. Hachinoe represent. And $50 from Tragic Bike with the comment, this game seems nice. 100% agree.
This game is nice. This fight might not look like much because on easy it kind of is. You just kind of walk back and forth, but it's definitely was tougher in my casual playthrough when I did it on a normal. But easy is fast, so easy it is. I'm just gonna stand here and wait for Froggo King to crush me, and then we're gonna grab the egg when this long cutscene ends. I have a grasp of how long it is now, but I used to just be like, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? And this, as you may have noticed us walking past these before, these shrines are what allow us to do fast travel. So we're going to be using this at the very end of the run to go right to the end, pick up the last egg, and then down to the ship to leave. So getting this egg and moving on to the next area. The next area is basically the last place that you're supposed to go to casually as well. And I got the bird thing, yeah. That
Very nice.
It's pretty tight sometimes, just because of the cycle the birds are on, moving left and right. Sometimes it takes you a little bit lower and you can't quite make that jump, but thankfully got it there. The next area is basically going to be a mishmash of everything that we've gotten so far because we have everything at this point. It expected us to climb the right wall in that room where I took the bird up with a slime, but slimes are slow, so we don't really use them very often in the speedrun.
I think there's a total instance of one time that we use a slime in this room, which will be coming up in this area.
Yeah. So the next room has a funny thing. Worms just have a lot of really, oops, sorry about that, silly properties. And one of them is that they have a longer radius from which you can transform into them. So from this bird, I'm gonna fly up to the ceiling and just skip the left half of the room there. And in this next room, I'm gonna do another fun worm thing. We talked about half hops and coyote time earlier. Turns out if you're leaving a ceiling or a floor, you can coyote time jump out of a worm. So that allows fractions of seconds to be saved in this little area here. Now the next room is one that I kind of need to secure my brain for and focus on, so I'm gonna let you take over for that.
Yeah, the next room is everyone's favorite room, and I say that in the most sarcastic way possible because it's completely awful. You are supposed to run on these treadmills to lift up the logs on the right hand of the screen, and there's 4 screens like this. But it was recently discovered that the second and third rooms in this area can actually be skipped. It's because launchers have an interesting property in the fact that all Sheepo needs to have to be able to enter a launcher is line of sight. So since Sheepo can barely see the launcher from the top of the log, you can basically just sneak through and just save that tiny bit of time, and well, actually not even a tiny bit of time, it probably saves an absolute ton.
This is another area where we do a lot of damage boosting, and there, unfortunately, I took damage at the very first pinwheel in this room, which meant that I had to be extra careful going through there, which is slow, unfortunately, but it's slower to die, so I decided to make that compromise. The next area is going to be the one that we mentioned where we use the slime, and the reason why we use the slow slime is because it lets us be fast later. It's going to save us a little bit of health going through the next room here, and if I do everything right, you know, we'll see. It's a marathon, lots of mistakes are being made. But if all goes well, I'll come through the first half of this room with 3 health, damage boost on the thing that you'll see at the top, which is intended to be gone through with a slime, but again, slimes are slow and damage boosting is fast, so let me give you a moment to, alright, just barely made it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
The walls are pretty generous, honestly, in how low you can jump off of them like that, but we just walk through that area and then we get a health pickup, and we're back at full health, which allows us in a moment up here to do 2 damage boosts rather than having to avoid taking damage on the first one. Usually we would fly up the right wall there and avoid damage if we only had 2 health, but we just don't care. We're actually already coming up. Oh, I'm gonna take a safety save here because because health is scary in this spot. This is gonna lead us to the last boss of this run. It's a really short one, and this boss would probably be one of the hardest, but we're gonna do something kind of tricky here and skip this cutscene while we're still the worm. And now, no hands, Ma, here we go. If we have more donations, this is probably a good time. I'm gonna be doing something weird on the screen if something happens, but otherwise you can ignore.
I'd be happy to. We have $10 from AnnaJess3, who says, thank you so much to Scent, Eternal Enigma, Nash, and everyone else for sharing their personal stories today. Keep up the amazing runs. Remember to take care, hydrate, and love Lamp. Thanks to all the tech staff for keeping the stream running as smooth as any of these awesome speedruns. $50 from Anonymous, who simply says, love this marathon. $25 from Nathan, who says, been busy so far this week. Haven't been able to get a donation in until now. Looking forward to watching the rest of the marathon and catching up on the VODs.
Where's he going?
So fun thing, bye. Yeah.
Bye, Sheepo.
Bye. It is intent. You are supposed to bounce off of those blades at the bottom. Normally you would take damage, but we did a trick that made it so that Sheepo literally can't even move. I can't do anything with my keys right now. And these logs, when you're doing it normally, you stand on them, but you have a limited time. They kind of sink down as you're standing on them. But as he bounces, if you get onto the side of them, you get stuck there, and then you just kind of descend into the abyss. And I figured I'd use the zoom tool. Yeah, I'm gonna stop.
Let's get to the
I'm
close
coming
look.
back in. The zoom tool to kind of show you that Sheepo just descends into the abyss forever. So we're gonna get the last egg that gives us a transformation ability in the next room, and that's gonna mark basically 20 seconds until the run is over from like this point. So this is the Slingo egg, this is a Slingo, and that's the only time we use them during the run. And this is that teleport that we unlocked earlier. We're gonna go grab the 6th egg, go down to the teleporter, and then I'm gonna be calling time pretty soon. As we get to the ship here, that's time. All right, still a 21.
Let's go. Very good.
Yay. All right, so yeah, big shout outs to the Sheepo community because everybody there is just so sweet, and it's been a great time being part of it. If you want to be part of it, you should look at our SRC page, go to speedrun.com/Sheepo and find the Discord link. We want to have more friends.
Just before you go, one more word from a member of your community.
Ooh.
$5 from Perfect Footy, who says, go Snopea, we're all rooting for you. You work so hard and are so passionate about this game. And I agree, it shows.
And do you have anything, Glint?
Yeah, I just want to say that this game is probably my pick for most criminally underplayed game of last year. It's currently on sale on Steam and is set to release probably sometime later this year on Switch. So if this game looked cool to you, you should play it. It has some absolutely hilarious dialogue that you didn't get to see in this run, unfortunately. And it's a really short casual playthrough as well. You could probably finish it within like 4 hours.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend the game.
I think that's it. All that's left to say is Sheepo.
Thank you again for that fantastic, cute, charming, and just oh so much fun run, QueenSnopea. We have donations. It is the middle of the night everywhere in the U.S., but we have dedicated donors, fans, viewers, and chatters, both here and the world around, who are making their voices heard, helping us meet donations, and raising money for the Prevent Cancer Foundation. So thank you to all of you so much. We have an anonymous donation for $39.99 who says, "Good morning to everyone up this early and or this late." Thank you. We have $50 from Sasquatch Senpai who says, "Keep up the great work, all for a great cause. Also, let's get Snake to make his way through Shadow Moses in style. And no better way for that than in a tuxedo." I absolutely agree, Sasquatch Senpai. Folks, that is going to be all for this segment of AGDQ 2021 Online and all for me for this event. It has been my sincere pleasure to host for you and to be the voice of this event. But please, I urge you not to forget the tech staff, the producers, everyone who is working behind the scenes, the donation crew, the chat mods. If I am the voice of the event, as are our other hosts, they are the heart and soul. They make this happen, and so do you in giving money to the Prevent Cancer Foundation. I love you all, and I'll see you again soon. Just time for a quick break, and then we'll be back with Mr. Michael McCaw on the microphone.
Good morning, everyone. How are we all doing out there this fine Friday morning? I'm Michael McCaw, and you are watching AGDQ Awesome Games Done Quick 2021 online. I'll be your host for the next couple hours, so let's get up, crack some eggs into the pan, and cook us up some early morning speedruns for breakfast. Just as a heads up, we are currently swapping the next two runs due to technical issues. Coming up next will actually be Whipsy and the Lost Atlas, Beat the Game by MOD 366. Followed by Right Any Percent by Lyncher. Just as a reminder, going in, we do have a few incentives coming up that have not been yet met. Coming up for Inertial Drift, we have the Snow Mountain Sprint. The Snow Mountain Sprint is a forced loss dual segment, but if you play well enough, you can actually win it. We are currently about halfway towards the goal. We need $3,500 to make that happen. We are currently at about just over $1,800. So if you want to see Sean A. take the W on that duel, please donate. And we've also got the Tuxedo playthrough of Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes incentive coming up as well. And that incentive, Snake will wear a tuxedo, as well as a sneaking suit for Meryl and Cyborg Ninja with new colors. That incentive is at $10,000, and we are currently at about $3,100. So please get those donations in if you want to see Snake bring a little style, to the Twin Snakes. We're gonna have Whipsy and the Lost Atlas Beat the Game coming up in just a few moments, but we have time now for a few donations. From John, we have $25 from John that says, breaking records left and right this year. Keep up the hype train. And we have $50 from Jellybean and Gumdrop. They say, we always enjoy tuning in to GDQ to see much mastery of our childhood favorites, but we never donate. It's time to make things right starting tonight. Here's to kicking cancer's butt. Good luck and happy running. We have $50 from Gary, and they say, thanks for putting on this event. It's fun to watch every year. And $25 from Cat Milk. They say, thank you to everyone involved in making all the GDQs possible. Here's a bit from me, like always.